The Carolina Panthers have been one of the most interesting teams this offseason. When Matt Rule took over at the end of last year, we all knew there would be changes to the team, but I don't think anyone anticipated how fast they've turned around. And in his second full offseason as the Panthers head coach, he's turned them into a contender for the number 2 seed in the NFC South. And drafting has been one of the bigger conversation points. When the Panthers selected Jace Horn, 8th overall over Patrick Surtain, many people were shocked. Just as they were last year when the Panthers passed on Isaiah Simmons and others in favor of Derek Brown. We aren't sure how either player will pan out yet. I'm sure they'll both be great players, but based on the better players available, the Panthers and Rule are 0 for 2 in first-round picks. But they did strike gold in the later rounds of the 2021 draft. The second round saw Carolina take Terrence Marshall Jr., who has had an amazing camp and came up big for the Cats in the first preseason game, with 88 yards, but when you look at the Panthers' biggest steal of the class, you have to look all the way down in the 4th round to see Chuba Hubbard, 126th overall, and that's the player that we are going to discuss today. You guys might know this about me from my other channel, but if you don't, then I'm Canadian, and seeing some Canadian players, or even former CFL guys, start to really make an impact in the NFL is super cool to see. Chase Claypool last year attracted so many Canadians to the great game, and being able to watch my former favorite CFL player, Brandon Zylstra, score a touchdown last year was really just a proud moment for me as a football fan. But Chuba Hubbard is special when it comes to Canadian connections in the NFL. When you think of the Canadian kids in pro sports, they are usually dominating in hockey, soccer, or lacrosse. But football and basketball have been growing in Canada. Chuba grew up outside of Edmonton, Alberta. And football-wise, outside of the Edmonton Elks, the CFL team, it's a really small sport in the area. A lot of people see football as being too dangerous in Canada, and it's the same in the States. Chuba's mother was one of those people. Hubbard wanted to play football his whole life, but his mom said it was too dangerous and wouldn't let him step on the field. But at 10 years old, he finally got onto a team. In his first practice, Chuba lined up at wide receiver. They called a reverse. Hubbard got the ball, took it 70 yards, but was stopped short of the goal line. His former coach recalled that when Hubbard got to the sideline, he apologized to him and his teammates for not scoring on that play, and he said that that would never happen again. It was a turning point for the Sherwood Park native. And he made the same promise after his preseason debut when he had a big run but couldn't quite get all the way. Hubbard said he pushed towards the NFL to be able to help other kids who grew up in poverty situations and give back to the community that has helped him get better every day. And as you could imagine, growing up in such a soccer and hockey dominated area, being so different from the others drew a lot of attention. Many players on the football team at that age group used that sport to fill the time during hockey offseason. But Chuba's main priority was football, and the dedication to the one sport made him the best on the field. That and the fact he was a track star in high school and even competed at the world junior level as a sprinter, and that skill set allowed him to transition into an elite running back. But playing the Canadian rules, 3 downs, a bigger field, an extra player, had some American scouts hesitant to take a shot at Hubbard out of high school. But many people don't really understand that the Canadian game is harder. You only run 2 offensive plays per 10 yards, and there's an extra man per side. There's more field to cover, and the players that play linebacker are way more athletic, and they can keep up with wide receivers lining up in the slot. But with all of that, Hubbard averaged 15 yards per carry in his last year of high school. and he put up 40 touchdowns and 3,200 rush yards. No American college could be dumb enough to at least not make an offer at the Canadian kid. He ended his search with offers from Colorado State, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Oregon, and Oklahoma State, along with at least a dozen more. Hubbard decided to attend OSU, and that was a decision he wouldn't regret. In 2018, he took over as the OSU starting running back with his eyes on the John Cornish Trophy. He redshirted 2017 and came out with 740 yards and 7 touchdowns in his first 13 games in college. And then in 2019, Chuba went off. Over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. Everyone that doubted if he could translate to the American game was silenced. He was a contender for the Heisman Trophy, won the Cornish Award for top Canadian in the NCAA, beating out Chase Claypool from Notre Dame. Chuba came back in 2020 for his redshirt year, a decision that in hindsight wasn't the best. Hubbard then threatened to boycott OSU and the football program after a photo of coach Mike Gundy wearing a shirt promoting a conservative news station surfaced on the internet. Gundy apologized. Hubbard declared for the draft and stayed involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. In a press conference, Hubbard mentioned, quote, "I know a lot of people see me as Chuba Hubbard, the football player, and they see me on social media as the same guy. But a lot of people don't know who I actually am." Chuba went on to add, quote, "I'm a caring person. I care about my teammates. I care about a lot of people I don't even know. I'm always trying to be for the greater good. That's what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I may slip up and do the wrong thing, but I've always got the right intention. I'm trying to do my part to make the world a better place and this program a better place." Many people wondered what would have happened if Hubbard declared for the 2020 NFL draft. The thought was he would have likely been a first-round pick. But regardless, Chuba is grateful for the opportunity in Carolina. After toasting Baylor and head coach Matt Rule for years, Rule said he wouldn't pass up the chance to get Hubbard in the NFL draft, and being a 4th-round pick is better for Hubbard. He has been proving people wrong ever since he started playing football. Some thought he couldn't play American ball, and now he has 125 people to motivate and prove that he's better than. Chuba Hubbard was drafted 126th overall by the Panthers, but he was drafted twice. 43rd overall across the border, the Calgary Stampeders took the highly touted Canadian kid, and as an Edmonton Elks fan, I really hope things work out for Chuba in Carolina. But regardless of what happens there, I don't expect to see him wearing the red and white anytime soon. Sorry, Stamps fans. He's set up for a great career in Carolina. The moment the 22-year-old got the call from Matt Rule and the Panthers might be my favorite draft moment ever. Rule said, quote, "I couldn't watch you run wild on me all those years at Baylor and not take you when I had the chance." He went on to claim that 10 minutes before the Panthers were on the clock, Rule's wife texted him saying, quote, "Please take Chuba Hubbard." And he did. The Panthers might not have had the most success in the first round under Rule, but they've had success from the second round on. Last year, it was Jeremy Chin with the 64th pick. This year, Marshall Jr. and, of course, Hubbard. The future is getting brighter for the Panthers, and having Chuba Hubbard as the insurance option, if something happens to CMC again, is definitely a good spot to be in. And having Christian McCaffrey, one of the best in the league, ahead of a kid like Chuba Hubbard, is the best case scenario for him. Chuba said he's trying to learn as much from him as he can every single day. And that the biggest thing he's learned and carried over to his game is the professionalism. He said that McCaffrey is 100% a pro. And that's the mentality that Chuba is trying to build and have for the future for the Panthers. This is a great player, and he's got some really close connections that are close to my heart. And as a Canadian kid that is even from the same area as Chuba, I'm so excited to watch what he can do for the Panthers. I don't even like the Panthers, but they are an exciting team right now to watch, and drafting Chuba Hubbard makes them probably a top 5 team for me. I've been paying attention to him and his football journey for as long as I can remember, and it's just exciting to see that he finally has that chance in the NFL. And a local Canadian connection, or a Canadian connection in general, is really special to see in the National Football League. Thank you guys for watching. This is episode 1 of the Canadian Connections. Really just a fun series idea that I came up with. There's enough players like Chase Claypool and Chuba Hubbard and players that used to play in the CFL that I can make this into a bit of a series, and I hope that you guys enjoy this. This is a kid that has been working as hard as he can for his entire life, and I know that he's going to run away with the opportunity at Carolina. As a backup, I don't think that really matters because he'll work his way up into a third down type style of a back or rotate with Christian McCaffrey as much as possible. He's a great pass catcher, he's a great runner, he can find holes, he's patient, he reminds me kind of Le'Veon Bell or even Najee Harris from earlier in the draft. And it's just going to be exciting to see what Chuba can do in the NFL. I want to say I'm starting a fantasy football league this year, so go check that out in the description, trying to fill as many spots for that as possible. It will be the top link in the description, Yahoo Fantasy, so go join that, and I'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye.